Hey, welcome back to episode number 4 million, I can't remember, I think it's episode number 6, of my Legends push. I'm showing off just some of my older Pokemon here. I didn't know what to show at the start, so I decided to go through some of my OG Pokemon. I caught that Kaboodop's at Kabunnings. So, at Bunnings, so I called him Kabunnings, that's funny. Yesterday technically, but this video, I went really positive with this team that I was using. I think I went 3-2 and then 5-0, 5-0, and then I had I think a 1-4, but it was a very hard set, and then a 2-5. So two kind of average sets at the end, but I did 2 5-0s, or actually I think I was on a 12 win streak at one point with this team. So I think I ended the day 16-9, which is actually really, really good. And for the sets I'm actually doing today while I'm recording this, I don't think I've gone to, I think 2-5, 2-5. So let's hopefully I can turn it around, but quite a lot of elo gain today. So hopefully there's some good battles in here to show you guys, but either way, let's just jump into the video. Right, we begin our first match of the day, leading Drifblim into a Toxapex. This is a good lead for Drifblim as poison jabs are resisted, and Brian really doesn't do much. It does a decent amount because I'm a Shadow, but not a ton. Shadow Ball lands, does quite a lot of damage. I let their Brian go through. See, it's not crazy amount of damage. Now, they will make it to another one before I'm able to farm down, but I'm perfectly happy with shielding and doing the one shield and farming down, because Drifblim energy is incredibly oppressive. See here, they hard switch in their Malamar, and I go for the Icy Wind. They no shield. I can actually make a second one. However, I'm going to bank the move and switch in my Drapion. The only way they can do meaningful damage to Drapion, especially after the debuff, is going for Superpower, but that debuffs them even further and actually makes the farm down with my Drapion even easier. So they go for the second Superpower. I get the full farm down with Drapion, and I leave with a bunch of energy. They bring in their Diggersby, but they do a nice peekaboo strategy there and catch my Aqua Tail back onto their Toxapex. However, this game's basically over, as this next Aqua Tail will go through. They will shield it, surprisingly. I'll send in my Drifblim, get this Icy Wind off. This way I grab the final shield, which it does, and I can just go straight and win from here. They actually get a farm down there, but it really doesn't matter. I have a Gastrodon. They're at -1 attack. I have a shield advantage, and I have a Drapion that's available for a catch later on as well. So this game is over. However, they stay in to see what they can do. They get no Scorching Sands debuffs, thankfully, because that could make it a bit more interesting. However, this game is over, as they have no fast move pressure. I can just shield this up, go for the Body Slam, and call it a game. They actually get a debuff there, which is a bit scary, but 1 Mudslap goes through, and that secures the victory. So GG's to that opponent. Hopping into our next match, obviously leading Drifblim again, this time into a Azumarill now. I stay in here and go for I farm up and then put Do Not Disturb. Farm up, shield their first move, and farm up a bit more, and then go for the Shadow Ball. But actually, while I was watching It's Axon's video on this, using this team, he actually stays in and goes for the Icy Wind and then switches into Gastrodon. Actually, sorry, that's for the... Sorry, don't ignore what I said. That's for the Azumarill safe switch, not on the lead. On the lead, it's a bit tricky. You kind of want to debuff them and then switch into Drapion. Either way, I'm down 2 shields. However, I was able to grab... This is a great thing about Drifblim. I was able to grab the next shield straight back. They have a Dragonite in the back. This is very scary, as Dragonite, especially when I have no shields to hide behind, is very, very scary. I go for the Crunch there just in case they wanted to call a bait. They don't. I go for the Body Slam. This is not going to do much, but actually, because it's a Shadow Dragonite, it does a ton. They go for their next move. Dragon Claw puts me very low, puts me in farm down range, and they have a move loaded, and that will basically secure the win for them, as I will not be able to make the crunch that I need to win. So, unfortunate. I could have maybe won that battle. Not 100% sure, though. So, GG's to the opponent there. Next match, Drifblim into Clodsire. This is a... I consider it a good lead. However, I do have to go down a shield, and they bait me with the Sludge Bomb, which is not great. I farm up, go for the Icy Wind. This will put a lot of pressure onto them in terms of damage, and they no shield. They switch in there for Alligator. I switch into my Gastrodon. Looking back, maybe I should have... I think I should have thrown the Icy Wind, as right here you see I throw the Body Slam, and they actually shield it, so it actually doesn't matter. But they would be able to get to 2 moves and force switch or force my final shield. I come in with Drapion. This is another mistake. I feel like I should have come in with with my Drifbloom, as I would have got a bunch of energy. I know Shadow Claw from the Feraligatr does a lot to Drifbloom, but the energy would have been great. They hard switch in their Clod, and I just went for Aqua Tail there to get rid of it. And their final Pokemon is Primeape, and I think, honestly, this is just a win for us, as I can go for Aqua Tail number 1, Aqua Tail number 2. This will force their final shield, and I have an Icy Wind loaded. Either way, I think I could have come in with Drifbloom against the Feraligatr, but doesn't matter. Still counts as a victory, and a pretty easy victory nonetheless. So GG's to that opponent. Righty, hopping into our next match here, leading Shadow Drifbloom into Frostlass. This is an interesting lead, but Astonish does a ton of damage. They safe swap their Swampert. Now, I respond with my Gastrodon. I'm not sure how I feel about the way I play this, because now they actually make it to back-to-back Hydro Cannon, so now they can force switch or force a shield. I decide to let it go, as I can come back in with Drifbloom. You get a bunch of farm. It's clear that they do not really want to see Drifbloom, as you see in the back they have their Malamar, which can do a decent job of getting some, like the foul plays will do a decent amount of damage. However, Astonish just tears through them. I switch in my Drapion, they switch in their Frostlass. I actually go for the CMP tie here. I thought I'd win, but apparently not. That's right, I shield up the first triple axle, even though it boosts. I just didn't want to take that damage. They no shield the crunch, which is good for me, as I can send off this crunch, and this will either put them in, either get their final shield and put them in range where I can poison, sting, farm them down. So GG's to that opponent. Hopping into our next match here, Drifbloom into Greninja. This is a terrible lead. Not terrible, but because the Astonish still does, as you can see there, Astonish, even resisted, does a ton of damage to Greninja. However, they have a ton of energy. They safe swap they respond to my safe switch with their Clodsire, which is pretty unfortunate. Poison Sting does nothing to Clodsire. However, I can make 2 Aqua Tails, and I might even be able to make a 3rd, which is great. Do I make it? I do. Was that a CMP tie? I can't remember. It doesn't look like it, but I actually forced I force switch, which is great, which means now I can come in with Gastrodon and basically just absorb their energy. I know I can tank anything they throw. Hydro Cannon, I can tank. They'll make it to another move here, but I can just shield and farm down. I shield, farm them down. What do they have in the back? It's Talonflame. Now, that's actually really scary, because my Gastrodon energy doesn't go far. They shield the first one just in case I had Water Pulse. However, I don't. But even these Body Slams will start adding up, and I can now switch in my Drifbloom, go for the Icy Wind here. This will force their final shield and get a debuff. This game is basically over, as I shield this. I probably shouldn't have shielded it in hindsight, because now they're at a second move. However, they do not have enough energy for a 3rd. They would have to make it to another fly, and they don't. 2 Mudslaps would care there. I probably should have, in hindsight, no shielded and came in with my Gastrodon. But either way, GG's the opponent. Leading Shadow Drifbloom into Hypno for the next match. This is a great lead for Shadow Drifbloom. As you can see, these Astonishes are tearing through the Hypno. And I make it to this Icy Wind. I actually get a shield. They stay in even more and they throw their move. But they're just going to get farmed down here. Thunder Punch, shielded up. They send in their Diggersby. This is kind of uncomfortable, as my backline does not really like Diggersby that much. However, if I get the debuff with Icy Wind, I can come in with Gastrodon, and this is pretty comfortable after the Icy Wind. Scorching Sands comes through. He actually gets the attack drop, which is really unfortunate. They go for another move here. It's going to be the Scorching Sands. Comes through. They get a second attack drop, and that means that this Earth Power here will not KO. And they will make it to another move. However, I decide to let it through. So I'm pretty sure it's only a Fire Punch. It is only a Fire Punch, and I am able to get the farm down, leave with some energy. This Earth Power will KO this Hypno if they let it through, and they do. And they have a more Pekko in the back. Now, this is quite scary. Here, I made a misplay. As they could have just farmed me down there. They actually throw their energy, and that, I think, wins me the game. But if they were counting properly, they would have known that I wasn't at the move. So I don't think I should have hard switched Drifbloom then. I should have definitely stayed in with my Gastrodon and then used Drapion to absorb energy, and then come in when they were energy dry with my Drifbloom. Either way, make it to this Aqua Tail here. Second Aqua Tail is there, and they're not at their move. So this will KO. And that will be a victory for me. So GG's to that opponent. Hopping into our next match here, leading Drifbloom into Talonflame. This is a lead I've played up 1,000 times now. So usually what I do is I overfarm here, and if they overfarm themselves, then I can throw the Icy Wind before they throw their first move. That gets a shield. They're at the back-to-back flyers here. What I usually tend to do is shield both. They actually have flame. They're actually running Flame Charge, so I actually opt to throw this Icy Wind, and that actually KOs them. They come with Dunsparce. This is not good for me. I say switch into my Drapion, but I should have probably responded. I should have responded sooner. If I saw the Diggers, if I saw the Dunsparce, I should have switched in my Drapion immediately. Now they're able to get a bunch of farm. However, I am able to make the Icy Wind with my Drifblim against their Gastrodon, which is great. Could come in with my own Gastrodon. I think this is still a winning game. However, I don't think I played it well with my switch at all. So let's see what they do. They go for the Body Slam, go for Body Slam number 2. They come back in with their Dunsparce. They've got a lot of energy. I think they're at the back-to-back here. Go for Earth Power. They throw 1, 2. I think they may have not been at the back-to-back. Well, obviously, because they threw 2 there. Go for the Body Slam just in case they wanted to CMP tie. That KOs, and I can just Mud Slap down their Gastrodon as they're not making another move. So GG's to that opponent. Here's our next match. Drifblim into Talonflame. Very, very common lead for me. What I tend to do. I'm not sure if this is the best way of handling it, but I always overfarm here. Again, they overfarm themselves, so I go for the Icy Wind. This will force a shield. I actually don't know if that would KO from that range, so they could probably play for for shield advantage by no shielding, but it might KO, I'm not too sure. Either way, I double shield their flyers, and I get a healthy farm down here, leaving with a bunch of energy. What I like to do, I tend to actually switch out of that matchup. However, they send in Quagsire, so I actually stay in, and I would make it to a Shadow Ball here. So they are forced to throw their energy. I think in hindsight, I should have just thrown the Icy Wind, as that would have been threatening enough anyway. They have Superior in the back. This is interesting though, as I have no shields left. If I'd thrown that Icy Wind, that Quagsire would have had to shield up the Icy Wind or be in range of getting farmed down. So now this Superior has a shield, and they're able to shield the first Crunch. And I actually don't get the farm down there, but I think this is looking okay. I don't think this Quagsire can get as much energy as it needs, as I just need to leave with a Body Slam loaded. And actually it was at the back-to-back there, so I probably should have thrown, but GG's the opponent. I still came out with a victory there. And in the end, if you win, you win. So a win's a win. However, you can always improve your gameplay, which is why I make these videos, because watching back actually makes me think about my gameplay here. Anyway, Drifblim into Jumpluff. Interesting lead, as Icy Wind would almost one-hit them, but they make it to the Aerial Ace before I can throw. I usually like to farm up a bit more there. However, I throw this because this won't one-hit them from this range, so I'd still get a farm down if they no-shielded. They actually shield, pivot into their Typhlosion, and I have a great response in Gastrodon, unless they're running Solar Beam. Thankfully, they're not. But that Blast Burn damage plus Incinerate was insane. They can come back in with their... See, they could have come back in with a Jumpluff, however, they decided to come in with their Annihilate, which is interesting, because my energy would do basically nothing into Jumpluff. And great, they make a Rage Fist, but I can just shield this. So I don't know why the opponent did that. I can go for the Icy Wind here. This will force their final shield. And what they don't know is that I have a Drapion in the back for them. So I let this move go through. It is the Aerial Ace. This won't KO. I could make it to my Icy Wind, but I decided just to switch in my Drapion because I know they'll just back out, and they do. There's no way they can win. So GG's to that opponent. Our next match is a Balloon into a Cow. This Miltank is quite an interesting lead. I can't really do much into it. However, they save swap their Donphan, which is quite interesting. Octail will do a ton of damage. They actually shield the first one, and I make it to the second one. This will do a ton of damage to them, which is great for me. They actually shield that too, so now they're down 2 shields, and I know exactly what I'm doing. I no shield because I'm pretty sure they have nothing to hit Drifblim with. Trailblaze comes through, not very effective. Still does a ton. I will shield the second one, as each subsequent Trailblaze would do more and more damage, and I can get a great farm down here. And it doesn't really matter. Like, they bring in if they brought back in the Miltank, I would just be able to go for Icy Wind. They actually send in Carbink, and I bank the Icy Wind, send in my Gastrodon, and this game is basically over, as I can just tank quite a few moves. Ice Beam comes through. It actually does quite a lot of damage. I go for my Earth Power. This do almost 50% of their health, which is great. And now I'm in range where I can just farm them down. I actually can survive a Ice Beam plus the rollouts here. Barely. Leave with the Earth Power loaded, which will get them really low enough that I can snipe with my Icy Wind that I kept loaded. So GG's to that opponent. Pretty good match for me. Pretty sure I played that pretty well, so that's good. Hopping in the next match here, we're actually battling someone who's made it to veteran this season. I have not yet. Hopefully soon, we'll see. Whimsicott into Drifbloom. Interesting lead as they make it to their Moonblast before I make it to my Icy Wind. They actually bait with a C-Bomb, which is not great, so I farm up quite a bit, go for the Icy Wind here. This will force their first shield or just grab switch advantage early on. Does grab their shield. I decide I think they're going to bait. They actually go for the Moonblast, and that KOs, so I go down with a lot of energy. And my Drapion doesn't get as much farm as I thought. I thought it'd get 4 poison stings, I only get 3. They send in their Gastrodon, and this is not looking amazing. However, I can force a shield here, or do a little bit of a catch. I know that later on that Crunch, that this Gastrodon is in range where a Crunch will KO, so all I have to do is force a shield, and I'm against this Dunsparce, go for the Earth Power. If they no shield, which they do, I can just farm down. I can tank whatever they throw here, it does not matter. Drew a run, they're 3 away. Actually, sorry, excuse me, they threw on, I think on 5 or something, because it's 4 and then, it's 4 rollouts and then 3 to the second drill run. Anyway, they bring back in their Gastrodon, I go for the Earth Power, that gets their final shield, and I can just switch in my Drapion and go for Crunch. And that's a good game there, so GG's to that opponent. Here's our next match, leading Drifbloom into Chestnut. This is a great lead for me. They safe swap into their Hippowdon. I respond with Gastrodon, but this is quite a bit uncomfortable. I know they have Weatherball Rock, but they go for Scorching Sands there. That does a ton. I'm able to make it to the back-to-back body slams, but they actually are at another move. So I very much misplay this. I'm not familiar with Hippowdon counts at all. I go for the body slam here. They actually let it go through, which is okay. I was going to throw the body slam, but I decided to leave that Chestnut with a lot of health to see if I might be able to get a farm down. They pivot into their Charge Bug, but this is quite interesting as I am down a shield. This is not looking great. However, I still have the alignment I want, which is good. I go for the second Crunch here. They can elect to shield this. I'm pretty sure they have to, because if they don't, then they're just going to get farmed down by Drifbloom in the back. I one shield and farm... Sorry, excuse me. One shield that. I go for the Icy Wind here. I'm hoping and praying this will be enough to KO. And it is, thankfully. And they just have their Chestnut on the back. And I can tank any move they throw here. I don't know if I don't think they made it to their Frenzy Plane yet. They make it to it there. I think I still would have survived it even if it wasn't debuffed. Here it is debuffed. It would have been close. But anyway, victory is a victory. So GG's to that opponent there. Here's our next match. See if we're battling someone in veteran. No, another ace player. All right, leading Drifbloom into Ferrothorn. I remember this match. This was battle number 10 of my win streak, I think. Spoilers. Spoilers, I won. But Drifbloom into Ferrothorn, that's good. They safe swap into their Zoom. Now, I didn't play this correctly, or at least how Its Axon plays it, which I did play it today, the way Its Axon plays it, where you go for the Icy Wind, then switch in Gastrodon. And that it went great because I was able to leave with a move and have not much health, so nothing could farm me down. Anyway, the Zoom Reel forces both my shields, which isn't great. I want to keep switch as I want my Drifbloom to stay on the Ferrothorn. I want my Gastrodon to have, nothing to do with that Ferrothorn. They actually send in Ferrothorn here. I go for Crunch, which is good, and I'd be able to make the second one there, and I do. This will force their first shield or knock them out. They actually did elect to shield that. I actually go for the Aqua Tail here on a CMP tie to see if they are counting properly, and they are, sadly. But the CMP tie is great as that forces their energy. And I come in with Drifbloom. They have a Drapion on the back, but this is a bit scary as I have no shields. So they will be able to make it to 2 crunches before I can farm down. So I go for the body slam there, but they actually throw the crunch right before I throw that. But I would be able to get I should have got a farm down. Praying this isn't a crunch. It's an Aqua Tail, thankfully. And I go try and get a farm down. They make a move, and I was praying this wasn't a Thunder. I think I should have just thrown the Icy Wind in hindsight. Well, I knew they were far off of a move, So I decided that my Power Whip wouldn't KO, so I just had to farm down. If I'd thrown my Icy Wind, they may have made one more Bullet Seed and made it to a Thunder. I'm not too sure. I'm actually not familiar with my Ferrothorn counts. Either way, that Drifloon into Annihilate, that's great lead. Stay safe, swap their Dugong. I respond with my Gastrodon. They can start spamming out these Icy Winds. They don't do a ton of damage, however, the debuffs are not great. I don't really have a hard response to Dugong. It's kind of a core breaker. Not fully, but like it has play into all three of my Pokemon. Gastrodon's probably the one that has the least play into, but it still does good here, as you can see. I try to go for the Body Slam bait there, and it does not get their shield. They actually undercharge, but I decided to come in with my Drifloon because I can tank one, but I can farm down and get a bunch of energy. I think this was the wrong decision, as they have a Wigglytuff. I think I should have just let them get the energy, came with my Drapion, shield once and farm down, and then either they send in Annihilate. It's quite a troubling game. I might have to get some hints on this one. Anyway, I come in with my Drapion and I go for one Poison Sting, wait the move and switch, catch the Icy Wind. However, they undercharge, come in with their Annihilate, and I think here, right, the only chance of if I win is if I make it to the back-to-back crunches. The first one debuffs, and the second one goes, and they shield the first one. And let's see, they shield the first one, and it debuffs. So I was like, oh my god, I'm going to win. And then realized this Annihilate is not Shadow, so it actually survives that. And they are able to farm me down. Yay! I don't think that was even winnable at that point. Either way, GG's the opponent. Next match, leading Drifloon into Jumpluff. As I said before, this is a good lead for me, but it's a bit weird because they make it to their Aerial Ace first. However, I don't really need to shield it, as it doesn't do a ton of damage. So they go for that, farm up, go for the Icy Wind here. If they no shield, they're in range of getting farmed down. They shield it. They go for their next Aerial Ace. I still don't have to shield this. This won't do enough. I go for the Icy Wind here. This will force their second shield or knock them out. And they decide to get knocked out. So that I got switch advantage and shield advantage with my Drifloon. So that's awesome. They come in with their Dunsparce. I respond with my Gastrodon, as it's a great answer to Dunsparce, as the rollouts just they just don't do anything. I shield the next drill run as I want to preserve some health on my Gastrodon. Go for the Earth Power here. If they no shield, I can farm them down, which they do. They no shield. They're actually able to make one more, which is annoying. Either way, I actually shield this because my guess was that because they weren't switching out of the Dunsparce, they were weak in the back to my Gastrodon, and it actually turns out they were not weak. So I should not have shielded that drill run. I don't know why I shielded that. Very dumb mistake from me. Anyway, GG's to that opponent. Bit frustrating match, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, here's our next match. Drifloon into Sandslash. A very, very bad lead. Sandslash is quite a core breaker to this team. I'm not sure how to really play this matchup. I decided to stay in with my Drifloon and go for the Icy Wind after making it to the Shadow Ball. They shield, which is great. However, I just decided, you know what, yeah, let my Drifloon go down. He's the MVP of the team, but let it go down, get a farm down. They come in with their Gastrodon. I decided to stay in. I don't know how I like this matchup. I go for the Earth Power here. This will do a lot. We'll get a shield. They a no shield. I can come in with Drapion. They make it to a move. I shield it just in case it was a Draco Meteor, but I don't even think they had enough energy for that. That was a waste of a shield. Now they come in with their Sandslash. They go for the Aqua Tail. This will KO them or get their final shield. Gets their final shield. They go for their Drill Run. This will KO that will get me really close to being KO'd, and they have an Azumarill on the back. So GG's to that opponent. Next match, leading Drifloon and Drapion. A very not fun lead. However, watching Itzaxon, the way he plays it is he shields up the first crunch, goes for the Icy Wind here. This can get their shield too, which actually gets this one shield. However, it'll do a lot of damage and debuff them, so you can come in with your Drapion. Because if you hard switch your Drapion straight away, you're just down energy, and that's just losing. Anyway, they come in their Quagsire. I go for the crunch, does a lot of damage. No shield the Aqua Tail. I go for my own Aqua Tail here, as this will get their first shield or force switch, and it does. Actually, sorry, they already used their first shield. I'm going crazy today. They bring in their Feraligatr. I go for the Aqua Tail. It does a decent amount of damage. Come in with Drifloon as I can one shield and farm all. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna absorb all their energy. That's right, because they have the Gudra. Oh, sorry, the Drapion. What am I? I'm so sorry, guys. I've got two battles in my head right now. I save the shield as I know that the Gastrodon will KO the Drapion and get the Feraligatr too. See, that's what happens when I'm battling. I just forget the Pokemon I'm battling against. Even when I'm looking at the recording, I forget. Alright, Drifloon into Primeape here. This is a good lead for Drifloon as I can one shield farm down. Keep farming up. So I no shield the first Rage Fist as that would do the least amount of damage. Shield the second one. And they get the damage registration error. New mechanic, huh? Fun. So I go down 2 shields immediately. What I should have done there, I made a mistake. I threw one Astonish and switched, which meant that the Volt Switch went through. The problem there is that I have 2 Icy Winds loaded. If I come back in with my Drifloon, say, against that Charger Bug and go for 1 Icy Wind, even if it gets debuffed, their Volt Switch will KO me and I will not get the second move. Here, they farm me down. I come in with Icy Wind, and if I had my other shield because of the damage registration error, I would have used that. They would have shielded. I would have shielded this Aquatail. Then they would have had to shield my next Icy Wind, and I would have been in a winning matchup. But because of the damage registration error, that stupid mechanic that doesn't even work all the time, I am now in a losing matchup as I can get them here, but this Quagsire has too much energy. I will not be able to make it to the Body Slam before they make it to their Aquatail. So GG's the opponent there. Really frustrating that that's how I lose from that like 50-50 mechanic. I don't even know what the chance is of the damage registration error. Of course, the opponent gets it. It happens actually quite a bit in these battles, but sometimes it's just not important. However, that battle was important. There, I don't know what happened there. I tried to throw and it over-tapped and they didn't throw their move. It was really weird. They respond to my save switch with their Azumarill. This is not amazing for me, however, it's not terrible. I actually get the debuff there, which is great. For getting the debuff straight away makes this a lot more manageable, as these poison things will just start adding up. I actually elect to shield here, as I know that I can make it to 2 Aquatails before they make it to their next move, so I can actually force switch or get both their shields. I go for Aquatail number 1 to get shielded, Aquatail number 2, they let it go, and I get the farm down, which is great. They come in with Gudra, and I will be able to make it to the crunch here. I actually overfarm. I think that was an accident, but I make it to the crunch, which is great. Gets the shield. They shield it up. Gets the shield, and they shield it up. I'm really, really... My vocabulary today is insane. I let the Thunder Punch go through. They come in with Dunsparce. I come in with my Gastrodon, as I can pretty comfortably absorb most of their energy. Let them go for their next move here. Duron comes through. However, I realize in this moment, I need to be able to make the Earth Power and get the farm down here. So I go for the Earth Power, gets them very low, and I don't think that was damage registration error. It may have been, but I don't think it was. They're on 1 health, and that means they're able to win the game. So unfortunate there. 1 turn, man, one turn makes the difference, doesn't it? They're on 1 health. Anyway, Drifloon into Azumarill. I respond with my I save switch out into my Drapion. I go for the crunch because they're not switching. Does a decent amount of damage. Actually, no shields. I elect to no shield their move. They go for the play rough, which is harder hitting, and they send in their Talonflame. Now this Aquatail would do a ton of damage to them. They no shield it, and they get a farm down there with 2 Incinerates. I shield their move, they go for fly, and I'm able to get a farm down here, which is great. Let's see what they send in next. They send back in their Azumarill. I'm able to farm up a bunch. I go for the Icy Wind right before they make it to their next move. And then shield, which is perfect, because if they no shield, that would have been quite ugly. I can shield this Ice Beam, and then 2, 3, 4, and I wouldn't be able to farm them down before I get the next move, so I go for the Icy Wind. They no shield, they send in Clodsire, and this game is over, as I can go for the Icy Wind. This is a permanent debuff, and I would be able to make it to my next Icy Wind, which I do here. This would do a lot of damage, and I can now just switch in my Gastrodon, and this game is over. And they decide to leave. So GG's to that opponent there. Alright, hopping into the next match here. We are leading Drifloon into Drapion. This is not a great lead. However, as I said before, I stay in and go for the Icy Wind. Shield the first move, I go for the Icy Wind, which will do a ton of damage, or grab their first shield, and then I safe swap my own Drapion as now they are debuffed. This is good. I actually catch their crunch, which works out nicely. And they get the debuff, which is really unfortunate, but I don't think it matters too much. I go for the crunch against their Dugong that they responded to my Drapion with, and I'm able to make the second crunch. This will force their first shield, most definitely, which it does, and that I would be able to make another move, so they have to throw their energy here. They throw a Drill Run, and I bring in my Gastrodon to get a farm down and absorb their energy. In hindsight, I probably should have come in with my Drifbloom because they have a Glaring Courser in the back and I'm debuffed. This is not looking great. However, I still have a bunch of health on my Drifbloom, so I am able to make the Icy Wind here. They shield that up, which is great. And we both almost get the farm down together. Here I'm able to get Mudslap through, and I have the shield, so I'm able to shield that up. I think I could have played that a bit better, but I still ended up with a victory for that battle, so GG's to that opponent. And here's our next match, leading Drifbloom into Bastiodon. This is the last match of the day. I know, because I remember this battle. I safe swap into my Drapion. Also, who uses Bastiodon nowadays? Anyway, go for the Aqua Tail. They no shield. Now they switch out into their Wigglytuff. So it's clear they're quite weak to Drapion, as this is an amazing response to Drapion, as I'm able to make it to a second Aqua Tail here, which gets their shield. They farm down, and I decide to come in with Drifbloom because I want my Gastrodon to get a massive farm down off of their Bastiodon, and I want to get a massive farm down with my own Drifbloom here. But I decided they were going to make a move, so I decided to switch in my Gastrodon. Hope they're not strong in the back to Gastrodon, and it's quite a neutral matchup. They have their Dugong here. They shield the first move. I no shield. Excuse me, I'm yawning. I'm really tired. How's everyone's day been, by the way? Like, I've been pretty tired recently. Anyway, they go for the next move. I shield that up, and now decide here to switch out, go into my Drifbloom, because I knew they'll switch out into their own Bastiodon. I go for a Shadow Ball. This puts them in range of an Earth Power, and I know that Gastrodon beats it in the CMP type, but now it's a race. I need to make it to my Earth Power before they make their move. Can we get there? No, we can't. Very unfortunate there. Very close. I think I could have maybe played it better, specifically with my Drifbloom, maybe farming down the Dugong at some point. Either way, GG's the opponent. This image here is the highest elo I made. That was after my 5-0 and then my second 5-0. I ended the day at around, I think, 23.90. Either way, thank you all so much for watching. This team's helping me a lot in the Great League. It's doing really well. I'm very happy with it. I just got to get better with some specific matchups and kind of, not throwing. Either way, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.